Well, happy Friday, folks. Finally. I'm out my big 650. Woohoo! So far, so good. So I'd said before I had no intentions of buying an ER6N. And in case any of you picked that up in a derogatory way, that's not what I was meaning. I was meaning they were out of budget. Like, good bit out of budget. I've seen bikes for £4,000 with similar miles to this. I think they moved on to the Z650 after the ER6N. I'm sure that was its replacement. And this is the last of them, basically, the 2016. But there's models, there's like 2010, 2008 even, and they're like £3,000, 2,850 and stuff like that. So I was very wary of how cheap this was, but so far it's fine. Instantly I noticed it's not as smooth as my little Honda. The little Honda is exceptionally smooth engine, I mean, extremely smooth. The Honda, even though although I have got the Black Widow exhaust on it, just the slip-on, it does sound a lot better in my opinion than this does with the standard can on it. So I dare say I'll probably, most likely, be changing out the exhaust at one point. One of the guys I subscribe to, and he subs to me as well, offered me a downpipe. Al, the Scottish biker. So I'll probably take you up in that offer, Al. I'll just need to go over to, is it Kilmarnock maybe you live? I'm sure it's that neck of the woods. I'm sure it's Ayrshire anyway. So I'll need to get down and pick that up and get it bolted on. Although I don't imagine it'll go into this standard rear silencer. I imagine you'll then need to fit a Delkovich or a Black Widow or something to the back end. But that's not a problem. But I'll hold off a little while and I'll ride it for a good few miles, see if I like it. Although sticking 100, 200 quid, sorry, 200 or 300 quid exhaust on a bike, you don't really lose money. You'll get your money back when you sell it, and it'll give you a more pleasant experience while you're owning it normally, in my experience. I love the noise of my little Scorpion that was on my MT125, and then when I got the YZF-R125 it just sounded very different. Although I believe the valve adjustment needed done on that YZF-R125. When I listened to a couple of the old videos back, it's very, it ticks, there's a tick to it. I don't know if that's needing the valve adjustment or not. That's the noise I'd describe it as. There's like a tick to it compared to the MT, which is more of a 15 horsepower of purr. So now I've got 72 horsepowers and impressed with the grunt it's got. I think that's maybe why I didn't like the MT-07s, was just they had a bit too much grunt going from the MT-125. So I think I've no regrets in buying my 500. I've loved every second of riding that, and I've no plans to get rid of it in the near future. It will go in the future. Or will it? I might get rid of that and keep I might get rid of that and keep this, or I might keep this and get rid of that. We'll see how the love affair progresses. But you know yourself, you look at stuff and you think, oh, that's lovely, and you sit on it and you're like, God, that is just horrible. This is one of the bikes I'd never sat on it. I'd sat on the ER6F a couple of times, a couple of different models of them, and I wasn't actually stuck on it. I just didn't like the, I don't know, I don't even know if it's the same seating position as this, but it felt weird, so it didn't really get the blood flowing as such. But this, I don't think it's as good a looking bike even as the wee Honda I've got. But that's the good thing about customization and personalising stuff. You make stuff your own. So long as, or I've got a basic rule, long as you don't go too mental, over the top, individual, that only you and another one guy likes. Because when you go to sell that thing on, you will struggle to sell it. So try and be semi-neutral. I was going to paint this blue or purple, the sections that I'm painting on it, but then I thought, although you do get orange and blue Kawasaki's and black and white obviously, but they're renowned for their green paintwork, and I'm not a huge fan of lime green, if I'm honest. It's just a bit too in your face, although not really a bad thing on a motorbike, because see and be seen. So I've went with a colour, it's actually called blue, but it's, in my opinion, it's green. It is green. I'm not colourblind, it is green. One of the bikes actually that was on my list, on my short list, had like a backup. If I went down to Barrow-in-Furness, somehow didn't like this or didn't get a good vibe or whatever, I had a backup plan. And I was down there a bit too early, so on the way down I went to Carlisle and I went into a Kawasaki dealer, and I was wearing my Rev Bomb fleece, in fact, and the guy said to me, oh, I watched that on YouTube. So everybody knows Rev Bomb, and I was looking at a Versus 650 that they had, and it was yellow, and I would never own a yellow car ever. No way in the world would you catch me driving a yellow car, unless it was a Lambo maybe, or a Ferrari, which I'm sure I've mentioned before. But this yellow Kawasaki is orange, and it's not like the dark burnt metallic orange, it was like a tangerine sort of orange. So it was okay, it wasn't amazing, but it was a bit dear. I would have had to steal a couple of £100 off a credit card to buy it. And what else did I have with another backup bike? Oh, the other backup bike was a Kawasaki as well, which is one I actually thought I would have bought, and it's a ZZR 600, and it's a lovely blue one. I'll show you a picture, in fact. It's a 2004 model, and it was really, really clean. So it was lovely, it was gleaming. It was an older guy who'd bought it, and he just openly admitted to me it was an impulse buy and he shouldn't have bought it. It's clearly, he clearly wasn't looking for an older sports tourer. Another bike that I looked at while looking at twins was one I'd nearly bought in the past, and that was a Honda VTR 1000 Firestorm Super Hawk, wherever you are in the world. And I love these bikes. I think they're absolutely beautiful. But what I noticed was they weren't moving. The same ones were for sale all the time, and maybe it's just the time of year it was, but I thought, I don't want a bike again I then can't get rid of. But while looking at V-twins, I stumbled across an SV1000, and it was a 2005 model. I think it was 2250 or 2.5, it might have been 2.5, and it was an anniversary model. So they all have silver frames normally, but these anniversary models had a black frame, and I thought, I really like that. So I went down to, oh god, I can't even remember what it was. It was down near the Borders. It was like Moffat or somewhere like that, I'm sure. And I went and test rode it, and while out in the test ride, I managed to pull a wheelie in third gear, which gave me a little bit of a oh shit moment. But then it was just a case of, oh, let go of the throttle, let that come down, and you're the wheel lifted a bit. You're lucky if it lifted 5 inches off the ground, the front wheel. But that was like a full-on big wheelie for me. So at that point I went back to the guy after about 5 minutes. It was just a big long straight road I took it on. Very lightweight, but the weight felt quite high up, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's maybe a V-twin thing, but a lovely bike. If that's what you're looking for, I would definitely recommend one of them. That was an eye-opener. So I think that's me covered all the bikes that I was looking at, and some of them I might try again in the future. I still never actually tried even sitting on a Bandit, but the day after I come back from Barrow and Furness, I'll show you in fact. Just come into a customer's depot, and there's a beautiful Bandit S here, 2001 model. So that was a lovely bike. It's a bike I quite like the look of. I like the naked one, and actually like the half faired, is that what you would call it? But again, these models I was looking at were like the 2008, the naked one was, and it was 2,400 with 28 on it. And I just thought, nah, while I'm still quite relatively new to this, I'll stick with something a bit newer. And for the price of this, it would have been a no-brainer. So having my van definitely paid off. It was about maybe 70 quid, 80 quid worth of fuel, and that was pretty much a whole day. But if I wasn't doing anything that day, it was worthwhile doing it. So something I got free with the bike that I forgot to mention was 2 big 9-packs of Andrex toilet roll, bog roll, loo roll, toilet paper, because the guy I bought it off of works for a company called Kimberly Clark, who manufacture toilet paper for Andrex and all these companies. So that was a bonus, eh? I actually picked a guy up from his work on my way down to view the bike. He says he normally walks to work because the traffic is that bad. So he's like, if you're passing by my work on the way to mine, you could just pick me up from my work. And I thought, alright. I just love giving strangers lifts, you know. But the guy was sound. He'd been riding years ago, then he'd chucked it because he'd had a kid. It's the same story you hear from quite a lot of people. Big ass mirrors. Although that just makes them feel wider. It's the bars obviously that are the widest point, I would imagine. But it definitely feels a little bit wider than the CB. So maybe not as good for filtering. So I shall leave you at this, folks. Cheers for joining me. Take it easy, and I'll see you again soon. Well, providing you're putting out content, I'll see you soon. If not, you will see me soon. Take care. Cheers now.